Greetings, my brothers and my sisters. We continue in this very wonderful convention under the theme Forward Together with Integrity and Power. We give God thanks for the opportunity to celebrate our national convention, albeit virtual style. This session continues the celebration. And in this particular session, we're going to be celebrating excellence. Excellence among our children and our young people. And we're also going to be celebrating the wonderful work being done by several of our educational institutions. As part of that celebration, what we want to do today is that we want to acknowledge several outstanding students and award well-deserving scholarships to students ranging from primary level right up to the tertiary level. So it includes children who are going into primary school, others into secondary school, and some entering tertiary institutions, including some student pastors who will be attending our own Bethel Bible College. This session is about celebration. It's about acknowledging how good God has been to this denomination over many years. And we must be proud, and we are indeed, it is important that we be thankful to Almighty God. So in addition to the time of celebration and recognizing those who have done well through scholarships, we want to allocate some time to recognize our institutions, including our own Cedar Grove Academy, who has done outstanding work since its establishment. We also want to acknowledge the Port Maria Basic School, the Middle Quarters Skills Training Center, and you will see the work of these schools highlighted in a video presentation later on. But at this time, what I want to do is to welcome an outstanding bunch of children out of the Portmore Church as they come and render an item, Let the Children Praise. Come on, put in the chat and let's celebrate as our children come. We give God thanks for the gifts and talents that he has blessed our children with. And it's quite fitting to put a fire emoji recognizing our Pentecostal heritage and just celebrating the bright future that we have because of how God has blessed our children and our young people. As I said earlier, we have some outstanding educational institutions in our denomination, ranging from great work at the basic school level to outstanding work in the vocational field, and of course, outstanding work being done at Cedar Grove Academy. So I'm going to invite you to watch this very important feature celebrating the work of these institutions.
The Port Maria Basic School says that their key to success is love.
We have tried to engage them in every aspect. We allow them to have fun while learning, and we have had some great students because we have had students who have gone to the primary school next door. And I can remember one year, the principal for the school came over and said to me, I want to know your technique of teaching, because anytime I get a child from this school, the child just come like, we can just keep putting the child from one grade to the next. Because when they did a survey, they realized that 4 students from the grade 1 that we sent over, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place goes to my students. And when they check the grade 2, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd goes to the Port Maria New Testament Basic School. And when they go straight up to grade 4, all of my students, they are excelling. So she asked, what's her technique of teaching? We told them, I told her it's love. Children learn when they are shown a lot of love. You know, and I said to her, we're not just a school, but we see ourselves as family. You know, as teachers and cooks and janitors, we see ourselves as teachers and mothers and aunties, you know, to the children. We have had our little ups and downs, where at one point we had Sandy, and Sandy came and tore the roof completely off. So it kind of dampened us, and a lot of students were asthmatic and so on. They couldn't get to come out. While we were there in the church, you know, things were kind of up and down. And we keep writing letters to Scotia, to the hotels, to Food for the Poor, until finally Food for the Poor came on board. And they asked for some documents. They asked where would we want to put the school. So I had to get in touch with, you know, the head one, and they told me, okay, we spot somewhere where you could put the school. They came in and they checked the area, and the work was started there.
We are grateful to the Food for the Poor have been provided. I think, you know, what we could refer to a state-of-the-art basic school. I think definitely this would be a flagship basic school in Port Maria, and I think, you know, the sky is the limit. By virtue of our location, we're right off the main. I think, you know, the school is poised to be doing very well. And of course, I'm committed to that process. The church is committed to the process. And, you know, we're just happy for the recognition and happy that we were actually chosen. You know, of all the basic schools in Jamaica, we are definitely elated and delighted, you know, that we have been chosen.
Just the other day, I got a message from ECC, that's Early Childhood Commission, stating that my school has been chosen as one of the recipients for the Usain Bolt computers. I was surprised because I'm saying Usain Bolt is giving away 6 computers to all the schools in Jamaica. And for some reason, they checked my record, and I was chosen as one of 6 from the whole island. You know, and I'm telling you, it makes me really happy. I called Rev, and I said, Rev, we have to go and collect our computer, you know, and so on. I'm just praying that this COVID just go away very soon, because we're really anxious to get back in the classroom, I must say. I try my best with the online, but I prefer face-to-face, because children learn better when they can see and you can communicate with them, and if they're really slow, you can, help them along the way. When they're at home, they're so distracted. Sometimes parents are busy, they can't sit with them, but the teachers will, make themselves available to sit with a child. If we realize that the child is really slow, then we would work with that child at another time. So I'm really looking forward to September.
The Cedar Grove Academy is indeed a beacon of excellence.
We are one of the 3 existing centers of excellence. This school has a focus on the STEM methodology. STEM really stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. When we started in September 2013, we had as our theme, positively branding our school, getting it right the first time. And we did that through the establishment of a robust school culture. The Cedar Grove Academy was established out of a partnership between the New Testament Church of God in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands at the time and the government of Jamaica. And so we are a Christian-based institution. The New Testament Church of God plays a very strong role in the school's operation. The school does the CSEC, the bulk of at the upper school level, grade 11, the students do the CSEC examinations. Very few students do the City and Guilds mathematics examination. The students who are in grades 12 and 13, because when this the institution started in 2013, we started 2013 September, October of that year, we introduced our 6th form program. And so at grades 12 and 13, the students do the CAPE syllabuses. So CSEC at grades 10 and 11, CAPE 12 and 13, and both CSEC and the CAPE examinations are offered by the Caribbean Examinations Council. In the grades 7 to 9, we offer what we now refer to as a national standards curriculum. But what we do in this institution, earlier I spoke about STEM. So we craft our methodology to help children to build up their critical thinking skills and to make them the type of learners that will not be dependent on teachers solely for their learning experience, but they too are required to bring something to the table. So you're talking about getting the children involved in research, helping them to understand the benefits of what we refer to as project-based learning, etc. The students are doing mathematics at all grade levels, and we also have a mathematics club. There is visual arts offered at different grade levels. We also have a visual arts club. Now, we do not have a subject-based club for each subject or a club for each subject, but in a number of instances, that exists at the Cedar Grove Academy because we believe that we can further reinforce concepts and content points through having the children engaged in subject-based activities in different clubs over time. Overall, the children do well academically, and that's from the get-go. So if you take, for example, in 2018, the year we had the first batch of grade 11 students doing the CSEC examinations. In that year, we had a 100% pass rate in 9 subjects. We entered the children that year for 28 subjects, and we had a 100% pass rate in 9 of those 28 subjects, and that was our first sitting. While we are among the newest high schools in Jamaica, we have a record for having children appearing on the merit lists of the Caribbean Examinations Council. Well, CXC really publishes what is called the regional merit list, and then the territorial merit list is done at the local level. So we've had some successes in that our students have appeared on both lists over time. Teacher recruitment at the Cedar Grove Academy is a very serious exercise. We challenge our teachers at the interviews to see what it is they can bring to the table, if they are the best fit for the institution, and the extent to which they can contribute to building or further building the school's culture of excellence. Outside of them being qualified, they are trained teachers also, having done creditably well in the different teacher training institutions across the island of Jamaica. So we have an academically strong faculty as it concerns their training and also their academic qualification. But outside of their qualification, when you talk about commitment, when you talk about love for children, they give depth and meaning to those tenets. And so these teachers are people who go above and beyond the call of duty to make sure our students do very well, whether in internal examinations or external examinations. I must declare at this point very proudly that this institution, the Cedar Grove Academy, we were externally assessed by the National Education Inspectorate on the 29th day of May, 2017 in the year of our Lord. And from that inspection, school-based leadership and management in this institution, that aspect of our report, we got the rating of exceptionally high. That is the highest rating that you can get for any aspect of the inspection done by the National Education Inspectorate in Jamaica, the competent authority for inspecting the primary and secondary schools operated by the government of Jamaica. So the Board of Management at that time was under directions and the leadership of the Reverend Dr. Leslie Alonzo Blair, and we were rated exceptionally high in the area of governance also. The Cedar Grove Academy anticipates a bright future. We are now in the fourth industrial revolution, where technological advancements are transforming the landscape of education. In this institution, we want to get to the place where all our students are writing external examinations digitally. And it does not matter which examination body is administering the examinations. We want all of the school to be so equipped and so technologically resourced, where all of them can write these examinations digitally. We want to get to the place where all our students are writing their internal tests and examinations digitally as well. Now, as it concerns technology too, the classrooms, we want to make sure these classrooms are outfitted with technologically advanced resources. We're talking about multimedia projectors of the very advanced kinds. We're talking about smart boards for our students, and the list goes on. We want to further expand the curriculum of this institution, offering more technical and vocational subjects so that the children can be even more rounded leaving the institution. So leaving this institution, as a graduate, you need to have those regular subjects that are of a theoretical nature, but you also need to be equipped with some technical skills and competencies, because that is really where the world is going. We're existing in a world that is quickly becoming skills-based. And so we want to make sure our children are technically skilled and competent. We have this very, very advanced look for the future, for it to be brighter for the Cedar Grovian children. And we anticipate getting there with God's help.
The Middle Quarters New Testament Training Institute is making an impact on the workforce.
Okay, so we offer early childhood development levels 2 and 3, housekeeping levels 2 and 3, website design level 3. We also offer 2 short courses, special needs teacher assistant and public area assistant. All right, so our students are persons from in and around the environs of Middle Quarters. We also have trainees from various areas in St. Elizabeth and from our neighboring parishes such as Manchester and Westmoreland. Well, currently we have over 100 students. We are still recruiting. Right, so you have to be qualified in order to do any of the programs there. So you need to have at least 1 CXC or 6 CSEC or 2 SSCs. If not, you will have to do the hard entry exam, which is Maths and English. You also have to fill out an application form, and there are some other requirements. You need to have your TRN, NIS, birth certificate, and for the early childhood trainees, they need to have their food handler's permit and police record. For the housekeeping trainees, they need to have their food handler's permit. They also need 2 references from either JP, teacher, principal, police in high rank, or pastor. Yes. So for the process, they will go through a process of interview. After they are qualified, we call them for an interview, and if they are successful in that interview, we'll take them on the program, and that is when they have to bring in all the other requirements, such as their police record and so on. Okay, so we have teachers that serve for each skill area, and all the teachers must be qualified in order to teach the program. All right, so we have persons in early childhood. They might have, but all our instructors in early childhood are college or university trained, and for housekeeping as well. Also for web page designing, because those are the offerings that are up for us now. We also teach them related subjects such as math and English and personal development. The instructors also have to be trained in those areas in order to deliver on those programs. Well, I must say that the programs are doing very well. You know, we have been impacting the lives of our trainees by equipping them with for the world of work. We not only prepare them for the specialized areas that they applied for, but we cater to their holistic development. We do personal development with them. We prepare them for exit readiness. We prepare them with interviewing skills and employability skills, right? And as a result, most of our trainees, you know, they are able to gain employment far and wide, both locally and overseas. Since the pandemic, we are having our challenges, you know. The trainees, they don't want to come to school, they don't want to take the taxis, and you know, we can understand that. And so we have to resort to online training, and blended learning. And those that come with their challenges. Trainees have challenges going on to the various platforms because of internet. I still, some of them don't have the strong internet in order to go on to probably the Zoom and so on. So what we ask the instructors to do is to, record the session and then post them in their WhatsApp group, because each instructor would have a WhatsApp group with all the trainees in it. And so they can able to, if they even go on in the class and dropped off, they can go back, view the video, and see or listening on the entire session. We're able to certify 233 persons, and what we had to do, because two of our programs did not complete on time, and what we had to do was to do some assessment only with some persons who are already in the industry, such as early childhood and special needs teacher assistant. So those allow us to make our quota. A lot of them came on and they did the assessment only. All they needed to do was to bring in all the required documents that we asked them to, and that they did, and we met our target. Persons not only gaining employment here, but they are gaining employment overseas. And just a few days ago, I received two calls in 1 week. I think it's last week I received two calls. One of the trainees from the first batch of her housekeeping group. I know she got employed. She was employed at Sandals in White House, and now she called to say she's in Turks and Caicos Island. She was recommended by her supervisor to go there to work. The other one called and said, "Mrs. Clark, I am now operating my own basic school in Clarendon." And she was a member of the first batch of early childhood trainees from back in 2014. The institution is for the church and whatever, because even though we partner with Hard Trust, they are not supposed to purchase stuff like equipment and so on. So from time to time, we use the facilities of a church, for example, chairs, extra chairs, and so on. And whatever the institute need, the church is always there to support us, whether financially, prayer, with the encouragement and all that. So the church has played a major role in the upliftment and the development of the institute.
Outstanding work by our educational institutions. And what a balance it is when we know that we have fine institutions and we have excellent individuals. I don't know about you, but I feel so proud to be a part of this denomination, because this denomination continues to thrive based on the work of its people and the work of the institutions in which our people serve. Having introduced the scholarship program and expanded it, it just gives me great pleasure to invite Mrs. Ingrid Wilmot, who was our lead judge in terms of our panel of adjudicators for the scholarship awards. I'm going to invite her to come now and to share with us the awardees and the process that went into making these decisions for the scholarship awardees. Come on, let us make welcome our Chief Judge for the Scholarship Committee, Mrs. Ingrid Wilmot.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am excited about the announcement of our New Testament Church of God Scholarship Awardees 2021. So we have 9 members on the National Education Support Committee. That's yours truly, Ingrid Perrott Wilmot, Miss Karen Beckford, Mr. Mika Cassie Henry, Reverend Dr. Reconel Simpson, Reverend Dr. Earlmont Williams, Mrs. Christine Blair, Mrs. Vanessa Morrison Leon, Mr. Garfield Henry, and Mr. Sheldon Clark. The application process started with us meeting as a committee to look at the categories, and we looked at how we would split the fund awarded given to cover as many applicants as possible. And so a form was created with a flyer and disseminated from the island office, and these were sent to our churches across the island. The application closed May 30, 2021. There were 139 applicants, 9 from Bethel, 3 primary, 11 secondary, and 113 post-secondary. Of this number, we were able to select from 39 churches, New Testament Church of God churches, and 1 outside of our denomination, 47 scholarships. We have from the post-secondary, 58.3% of our applicants, 16.7 from Bethel, 8.3 for grants, 4.2 for primary, and 12.5% for secondary. We would love to assist more, because this year we were only able to assist 36% of the applicants. And so the question is, how can we help? And so of the $4 million that was given for this aspect of our ministry, we were only able to assist a small percentage. And so we ask that for those persons who can come on board and assist to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our 2021 scholarship and grant awardees. From Bethel Bible College, Donisi C. Smith, Isaac Brown, Tamika Miller, Tamika Walker Green, Kimani White, Jodian Heath, and Ralston Graham. For the primary section, we have 2 recipients, Kiwana Campbell from Hearties, Shalice Collins from Epping Forest. There are 5 grants. Lestina Lawrence, Trenchtown. Dwayne Livermore, Oracabessa. Matthew Morris, Sanguinetti. Jody Burns, Cascade New Testament. And these are the secondary awardees. Paris Watt, Mineral Heights. Marissa Matthews, Jones Avenue. Alea Facey, Pedro Plains. Amoy Finlayson, Finley Taylor, Savlamar. Rashid Miller, Balaclava, Emerson Brown, Orange Bay. These are our post-secondary awardees. Tanya Henry, Brayton New Testament. Shanice Evans, Chantilly. Danello Richards, Culloden. Shamara Bailey, Commodore. Sharik MacDonald, Cotterwood. Brianna Sims, Eltham Park. Britannia Dixon, French Park. Alith Codner, Hertford. Gregory Park is next with Marquise Campbell. Chantal Clark from Hertford. Brianna Thompson, Highgate. David Bennett, Little London. Renice Patterson, Medley. Frederica Forbes, Middle Quarters. Chantel McCurdy, Newell. Shargay Gale, Sanguinetti. Yashima Ricketts, Scott's Pass. Stephen Cameron, Silo. Takiz Ferrario Jones, Tweedside. Janelle Hurd, Waltham Park. Colicia Wright, Escarpment Road. Ashara Rose, Piper's Corner. Alea Forbes Rodney, Eastwood Park. Shelret Denton, Rocky Settlement. Fitzdane Dinham, Elgin Town. Lansville Morgan, Spanish Town. Deborah Forrest, Brayton. And Gabriana Gabriel, Brownstown, New Testament. So we have for our 2021 scholarship awardees and grant awardees, 47 recipients. Thank you.
Forward together with integrity and power. We celebrate all that God has done in our lives, in our denomination, and through our denomination for many years. And we can look forward to the future with a sense of hope, with a sense of anticipation, and with tremendous expectation. Because the God who has brought us this far is the God who is able to bring us further. And therefore, as a church, wherever you are, across the length and breadth of this country, we celebrate and declare forward together with integrity and power. Thank you so much for joining in this session as we celebrated our educational institutions and celebrated our scholarship awardees and indeed our young people and children generally. And we continue to give God thanks for them. It has been such a pleasure for me to share this session, share with you in this session, and to witness the giftings and talents of our young people. We give God thanks. We give God thanks for the blessing upon our church nationally. We celebrate what he has done in and through our institutions and in and through our people. We have a lot to be grateful for. And I trust you will join with me and just lift your hands and shout, "Thank you, Jesus." Come on, type in the chat, "Thank you, Jesus." Our God is a good God, and we can go forward with integrity and power, knowing that the God who has been with us up to this point has assured that he will be with us well into the future. It was my absolute pleasure to witness the display of excellence. And indeed, it was my pleasure to share with you in this wonderful session. We transition into another session, indeed a very important session. It is going to be a panel discussion exploring the issue of coping with COVID. COVID-19 brought many restrictions for our worship services and the way that we do church. But despite this, many churches across the length and breadth of Jamaica are thriving despite the challenges. And what we intend to do is to highlight some of these churches and highlight some of the excellent work that was done by these churches. I want to welcome my colleague and brother, Bishop Nigel Martin, to facilitate this panel discussion with a very esteemed panel. May God bless us as we continue to celebrate together in this wonderful convention. God bless you, my brothers and my sisters.
Good afternoon and welcome to our discussion this afternoon, Coping During COVID. It is something that we want to address this evening as a panel, this afternoon as a panel. And I'm so thankful this afternoon to have with me Mr. Desmond Campbell, who is the Secretary Treasurer from the Eastwood Park New Testament Church of God. We have Mrs. Margaret Manning, the District Youth and Discipleship Director from the Maypen District of Churches. We have the Reverend Richard Skyers, who is the pastor of the Stettin New Testament Church of God, and Mr. Garfield Hogarth, a council member from the Waltham Park New Testament Church of God. Now, there's no doubt that the pandemic has impacted all sectors of the society, both as individuals, churches, businesses, have all been impacted by this pandemic. I want to give each of you a minute this afternoon to tell us how has the pandemic impacted on you as an individual. And I want to start with Mr. Desmond.
Okay, good evening everyone. I must say, since a year ago, since we all came into the pandemic, this is a new normal for each and every one of us. For me, I have to make several adjustments and also be guided that, by the word of God, that the scripture says, the Lord did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So whilst physically seeing there's a lot of panic going around and so on, I was led with the word of God to be strong. Yes, during the pandemic, my family and I, our daughter just graduated from the Immaculate Conception High, poised to go away, all set, everything was up in place. She got her scholarship and everything. And with the COVID, we had to make some adjustment to say, as our one daughter, we keep her in Jamaica. Yes. So have that God worked things out, that she got to do exactly what was slated for her, that she was going away to do here in Jamaica. And she's doing that now. We have seen and been making changes because it is not the same. So all things that we normally do, we have to make adjustments to ensure that we stay safe. One of the things that was very concerning was that we are unable to greet our friends and families the way we used to do, and not seeing them as often. but we have come to the reality and we have used other mediums in getting to them. So today, I have to say to God be the glory, we have come this far by faith.
Thank you, Sir Desmond. Miss Margaret?
Good afternoon, everyone. You know, when we started in this pandemic in March, I was scared, honestly, because it's a new normal. We weren't sure what was happening. We never understood. And then social media was just crazy, you know? So you were hearing all different sorts of things. You didn't know what to believe. You didn't know what was true. But one of the things that my family and I took seriously was the sanitization, you know, keeping the distance and wear the mask. And so when you got home in the evenings, one of the children would just spray you down and you had to go to the washroom and take off your clothes and run to the bathroom, you know. But as we grew and we understood what it was all about, not that we would have relaxed it, but we found new ways of dealing with it. We started reaching out more now on cell phone to touch bases because my mother is overseas, my aunt is overseas, and so we've had to be keeping in touch with them.
Yes.
You know, one of the good things is that my mom is in the Cayman Islands and they don't have COVID, so she's not aware of what's happening, you know, because they do their thing just the same. But for us, it's hard. Honestly, it's hard. My daughter would have just finished Monique College. She had another subject to do, and so it's difficult. She had to go online. But my major concern now is my son. He's a third form at Glenmuir, and it's difficult. A teacher myself, and the students, it's difficult, really difficult. And so the challenges are great. But to be honest, as we go through, at this point in time in June, we're finding it much easier to navigate and, you know, loving the online, even though the face-to-face is better.
Yes.
But it's getting easier as we go through. We're understanding and we're navigating better, and it's getting easier.
Thank you, Miss Margaret. Reverend Scars.
Good afternoon. It has been a very challenging time for me, very stressful at times.
Yes.
Pre-COVID, I would pray for a few days to be at home.
Yeah.
Just to relax with the family. Yeah. And since you have had the onset of COVID, it's like you have too much time now at home, so you have to be adjusting.
Yes.
The new norm was always a challenge, getting used to wearing the mask and, you know, having to be sanitizing so very often. However, I have two teenage sons at home, and of course, two younger ones. And the thought of seeing them in bed every morning, they do classes in bed. If you're not careful, they eat their breakfast in bed. You know, I reached a point where I started feeling as though these boys are becoming lazy. But then I'm saying to myself, I cannot run them out of the house because it's COVID. So they really have to be at home. And so what we had to do was to be very creative. We started doing some activities at home. So I started doing a little farming. At the back of my house, I had to plant a few cocos and yam and mango trees. And my younger boys, in the mornings, we would, you know, go around the back and water the plants and stuff like that. So you find creative things to do. My teenage son, the second one, who I have never seen in the kitchen, he was actually learning to cook during that period of time. So it has been challenging but very interesting. Yes. Spending the time with the family and doing new stuff, you know, together. Challenging but meaningful times. Yeah.
Thank you, Sir Scars.
Yeah.
Sir
For me, it was interesting as well. One of the things we had to make some financial adjustment, really. We had to look at our cable bill, that sort of thing, you know, and downsize in some way, because my wife's a fixed salary and I, you know, operate a business, and my business would have been impacted somewhat from it. So those adjustments were made. But one of the most, what I would say troubling for me is that I couldn't talk loud in my house again, because my wife is a teacher and she was teaching. My two daughters were online, you know, going to school online. So I'm the only one not doing anything, so I like the old cat. So I was there, so sometimes I forget, or should I say I don't remember. And but talk loud. And shh, that sort of thing, you know. So all those things, so it was getting to me really. But you know, so the times when I had to go out, you know, it was good to go out. But one of the most interesting things though, is that because most of them, well, everybody else was staying inside, I had to go out on the road. When I come back in, that was the challenge.
Yes.
You take off your clothes, you wash your hand yet?
Yes.
So it was just one of those things. And then now, the burn was on me now, because anywhere the body catch COVID, you know, it's one person give them. In other words, only one person could have got, you know, could have given it to them.
Yeah.
Me. So I had to be very careful when I come in. I have to make sure I'm sanitized. And I was given all of the things, you know, everything to carry. So I make sure, so, you know, and then again, since I stopped doing 9 to 5, I was the one going to the market. So when I go to the market, I come out the door, so somebody was there waiting for me, you know, to police me in. And I have to take off this right there, so everything done right here. And you have to go into the bathroom right away. And if me just, you know, just said, give me a little time now. You know, so it was kind of getting to me. But I realized, you know, the importance of it, and that, boy, you know, my family, you know, is crucial, you know, in the whole thing. So, you know, we got that, you know, we adjusted eventually. And, you know, after a while, it became a little easier. It became a little easier, you know. But all in all, you know, and then the other thing is that everybody was at home now, so we had to gel together, and, you know, I started to know them a little bit more now and thing. And, you know, my daughters, you know, 2 teenage, one is, well, both of them at university now. So the little one just started, and the first one, well, finished her first degree and started going to, you know, doing something else. And, you know, it was so interesting, you know, and I tried, we starting to catch up again and so, but, you know, all in all, positives, negatives, but I'd say sometimes the positive kind of outweigh the negative in some sort of way. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Hogarth. Now, even as we grapple with our own personal challenges due to the pandemic, we also have to grapple with the challenges within the context of our churches.
Yes.
The church has gone through changes during this pandemic. The church has had to go online. So several things are happening now with our churches. As leaders within our church, what are some of the challenges, and any one of you can pick up on this, what are some of the challenges that you have seen within the area that you are currently working? What are some of the challenges you have seen where the church is concerned? And any of my panelists can pick up on this.
Well, I'll start with that. I pastor in a rural area.
Yes.
And so initially, the biggest challenge was whether or not my members had data, because internet service is not readily available in the area, and so most persons had to be using data. That was one of the main challenge, wanting to connect with your members and trying to sort out which platform would have been the most useful. And so when I started, the COVID started, and we were trying to have church online. What I started doing was to pre-record on YouTube.
Yes.
And our church has a WhatsApp group, so I pre-record and try to upload it in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
I realized that that was another challenge, because when you do a 15 minutes video or a 20 minutes, it takes a while to be uploaded.
Yes, yes.
So that was a challenge. I was very uncomfortable sitting around preaching to my computer, because that's basically what I was doing. Not accustomed to that. And so for me, it was a bit awkward, it was a bit uncomfortable, until I decided, well, I'm going to be now going to church, working with the numbers that the government prescribe, and, you know, we would still try to record and post to the members. But, you know, as the whole thing go on, we kind of started getting used to the Google, Google Meets, that platform, which is a lot more friendly for persons using data and so forth and so on. And so everybody is now on board. Things are running a lot smoother now, and the connection between member and pastor, it's very much there. So, yes.
Thank you, Sir Skies. Yes.
All right, for the churches on my district, the Maypen district of churches, Maypen and the Vanna Heights would not be affected so much because they have internet connectivity within their sphere. But the other churches would be the Moko Richmond Park and Mount Providence. For those churches, they're in the deep rural communities. So what would have happened is that we would have been adhering to the numbers. And in adhering to the numbers, the services for Moko would have been pre-recorded and uploaded to YouTube.
Yes.
For Richmond Park, they just had to stick with the numbers. So they had like a rotation. They had like a rotation. You come this week, you don't come next week, that sort of a thing. And Mount Providence, you're nestled there, so it's more like a family thing. So persons for Mokos also would like give their names in a WhatsApp group. We have a WhatsApp group. So you would come this week and we say, okay, the first 12. So we schedule, and then we started having 2 services. So one set come at this time, another at that time. They would use one side of the church and the other set use the other side. So, you know, kind of balance out and sanitize and all. But as the time would have rolled on since March, Google Meet is being used, Maypen is fully online, Moko is fully online, Mount Providence and Richmond Park is not there yet, but they're coming on stream. But it's getting a little bit easier. So we're utilizing the WhatsApp, the Zoom, the Google Meet, and you know, trying to get to the members. It's still not perfected, but it's better now than where we started.
Okay. Anything from you?
Right. So we at EPR, yes, we do have challenges. Some of our major challenges was the abruptness and the suddenness of the change with the restriction, and responding responsibly, carefully, and collectively as it relates to our seniors and our members, because we are a church in this city.
Yes.
As our motto says, reaching out to the nation. Our membership spreads all over Kingston. And to reach our members within that time frame, because we are a caring church, right, that looks out for our members, we had a challenge. But we put in the shortest possible time, put in measures to ensure that we get a hold of our seniors, get them connected to the groups. We also use the other areas of the ministries, like the men, the ladies, the youths, and so on, and connect with those groups. The children also, we have them integrated, and have the children ministry really police and have them been catered for. We also, before COVID, pre-COVID, we had our major project, which we undertake, which is the paving and drainage system for the church. Now, with that, the suddenness of the restriction affected our finances greatly.
Okay. Yes.
We saw a massive fall off to the point where we had to stop this project because we don't know how long this was going to last, and therefore being responsible, pointless to enter into contracts and these expenditure without knowing the way forward. So that were some of the problems, and what we did also to mitigate, we, as you know, we have a good, we now have probably one of the best multimedia system in the New Testament Church of God. We took the initiative then to invest significantly in it because we saw it as a means of catering for the membership centrally.
Yes.
And integratedly. So we did that and have it transcend right across all the groups.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Well, for the Walton Park Church, we consider our church to be a very agile church.
Yes.
A church that we are one big family.
Yes.
Or should I say family?
Yes.
But one of the things that we did, we started zeroing on our senior citizens because we realized that they face some of the most challenges they face. So we started to reach out to them, and the care packages, of course, care package become it's something that we used to do all the while, but we have to intensify that and sort of zero in on our senior citizens. And that's one thing. The other thing that we did was to start looking at our youths, because one of the things we realized, and we made our church available for internet connectivity for persons who wanted to use it.
Yes.
Because we realized that, that was a challenge also, a number of persons, and the data thing. The other thing too is that with services, when we started out, we had to form, as most churches did, form WhatsApp group. So we had WhatsApp, we had to create 2 WhatsApp groups with over 250 persons on each of the groups. And probably start looking at a third group because our church is a large church. So we started to connect with persons. I would say most of the older persons, they never couldn't connect. So especially those who so all a person started to learn how to use. Those persons who never, and one of the joys is that this elderly lady, when we went by her house and we showed her, I know this whole thing that, everybody you have to keep the distance now. So we had to go by her and we taught her how to use the phone, and so she got a smartphone and started to use it. And then we went back and looked for her. She said, "Me saw you on TV, me saw you." She was so happy that she was able to connect with everything now, and that was so good. So whilst COVID was on us, a number of persons now started to learn different things and started to learn and to realize that they could learn. So that to me was one of the greatest things from COVID, a number of them. And I must say this, that, not that COVID is here to stay, but some of the things that we have learned, they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay with us. Yeah. I can tell you that. And the way we used to do church also, will have to change and has changed and will continue to change. Right now, our church is looking at an online church. We have bought equipment to that effect. So we are not only connecting with our locality, our church, but we are connected now with the diaspora, yes, with all the persons who come from Walton Park, who are starving for some of Walton Park, and so they start to connect with us, and in connecting with us now, we start to see now where all the services now, we're seeing them, they are on those services now, yes, and we are getting closer. So one of the things we have realized also is that the world is not as large, it's not as big as we think. Yes. And so we are talking to more of the person engaged. As a matter of fact, out of that, we are now going to, as you know, we are going to be having what we call all the persons. We are going to have a diaspora meeting where, and Walton Park has produced over 60 members who have become pastors. And we are going to be connecting with them and see, what kind of relationship we can forge. And in addition to that too, we are going to be having a meeting where the diaspora, all of the members, persons who are members of Walton Park, they are going to be connecting with us in a meeting, a grand big thing. We are going to be, be connecting with them again. I think that, people are saying a number of things about COVID, but I think that COVID, whilst it has its challenges, a number of good things have come out of COVID. And we are giving God thanks at Walton Park for it. So the challenges are there, and they are there, but out of those challenges, we realize that what these are really are stepping stone for us to reach the higher heights.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Sir Hogarth. I hear challenges, but I also hear you all offering some solutions, yeah, or some strategies that you have been using to deal with the challenges that we have been facing during COVID. Now, there are two major issues I feel with church during COVID. One, the financial aspect of the church has really taken a hit. And secondly, the ability to connect with our members. Now, while we may have internet access, there are some who don't have internet access. And while some persons are able to come to church, there are some who are not able to come to church. I want to ask you, and I want to go to Miss Margaret first, as a youth leader within the Maypen region, what are some of the things you have done to connect with our young people? We're realizing that our young people, a number of them are a little disconnected at this time from the church. What is it that, as a youth director, you have been doing to get your district to connect and remain connected with our young people?
All right, thank you. One of the things is that the first thing as a youth director that you must do is that you must connect with your foot soldiers. And the foot soldiers I'm referring to are the local youth directors in the churches. Yes. They make the miracle happen. Yes. So what they do is that, for me, I have a monthly meeting with my local directors, and each director is given a chance to speak, say what it is that you have been doing, how is it that you have been connecting with the young people, what are the challenges, how can we help? And so the local directors would have been each church has their own WhatsApp youth group, right? It is through these youth groups that they'll recognize that some young people would have left, right? So when they would have left, they either reach out to the young person individually, or they would reach out to an adult who is close to this young person to find out what is happening. Thereby, one-on-one connection can be made to find out what is it that we can do to touch base with this young person. Is it something that we can help with? Is it a phase? Because the mental faculty right now is, I mean, I think it is being underestimated. Mentally, a lot of our young people are suffering because the social connection is not there. So the directors try to connect with them to say, how can we help? As a matter of fact, just last month, the 22nd of May, we would have had a district youth seminar where under the theme, Live Up the Word. So we would have had just a session from Reverend Davis talking to them to say, what can you do to live in the Word? And also we would have had Dr. Marsha Smalling, principal for Glenmuir High School. She would have done the powered up moment, just getting to them, telling them that it's possible, this too will pass. So we try to use different sessions, and this is going to be like a bi-monthly thing where we reach out to the young people to see how we can empower them, we can motivate them, we can say to them that you can do this. You're doing this because this is happening, but you cannot allow this season to be a distraction. Whatever it is that first drew you to the love of God, we try to reach out to them and say, we want you to connect. So we reach out to them through the local youth director, through one-on-one consultations, through having the different youth fellowship sessions, and give them a chance to speak. How is it that you're feeling? And if they need individual attention, of course, we refer them to myself, the director, or the pastor of the church, or the district pastor, to see how best we can give them that one-on-one connection to help them. Because some of them situations, they're different.
Yes.
They're different, So we want to be able to help them in different ways. And that's what we have been doing. And it has been working. So the numbers were low initially, but there's a steady increase in the numbers now. And we have to give thanks for the connection.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Margaret. I want to pass it on to the pastor among us. As a pastor, I know that when you're used to your congregation being made up a certain way and you look down and you're not seeing your people, you're not able to reach them via WhatsApp or those strategies that you're trying to put in place. As a pastor, how are you reaching out to your young people, not just the adults now, but the youth within your church context to try and connect them or reconnect them to the church?
Well, great question. I have a very good youth director.
Yes.
She's the district director as well as the director for the local church.
Yes.
She has been very, very instrumental in connecting with our young people. And of course, whatever measure is necessary to reach them, we will do that. So now and again, you may need to do a one visit, you may need to make a phone call, you may need to send a text message,
Yes.
those who don't have internet.
Yes.
So we have been doing pretty well in that area. I heard my colleague speaking about having the forum. We had a large youth forum a few weeks ago. Yes. As well, just to connect with the young people.
Yes.
At the onset of COVID, we felt that our young people were drifting away.
Yes.
And so, with discussion with the youth director, we decided that we had to take a deliberate approach. Those who were not able to reach by phone, we will have to visit them.
Okay.
Right, so that has been the approach. It has been working extremely well. But I will not end before saying that we have also utilized our officers in the church, because it's not just the youth group now.
Yes.
We're thinking about the general church.
Yes.
So I must commend the denomination for the gift, the $50,000 that was sent to each local church.
Yes.
To provide care packages for our members, because we're talking about how the church has been impacted where finances are concerned, and the members are also affected, and that is something as a pastor that you have to be very much aware of, because you don't want to give the members the impression as if you are just concerned about their gifts, their financial contribution, without being concerned about their overall well-being. And so we started the care package with the help of the national church, and we have tried our best to continue that. Just a few days ago, I met with the officers, and I told them, ensure that if we have any member at all who is having a challenge, who is struggling to find food or whatever, please allow us to know, because we want the members to understand that as a church, as a family, we are concerned about their well-being. And as a church, everybody is going through a crisis, everybody is having challenges, but I believe that in tough times like these, the church needs to step up and reach out and connect with our people. So the officers have been useful in that area where I'm not able to go. They will, do their visits and touch base with members and so forth and so on. And so during the COVID, we have been impacted somewhat financially, but again, there is a structure that is set up at the church. So I communicate with the clerk. I said to the clerk, all right, we realize that everybody can't attend church at the same time. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to make yourself available on a particular day, be at the church's office. Text in the group and let the members know. Those who need to give their offering and tithe, I will be at church at X day from X time to X time, and you can come and see me. And that has worked tremendously. And so we have been impacted, but it's not detrimental. We're still surviving, and we thank God for that.
Thank you, Reverend Scars. I want to bring this question, the thought of the finances, both to Mr. Campbell, yes, and to Mr. Hogarth, as Secretary Treasurer and an officer, because one of the thought that is there is that, boy, during this period, like you said, everybody's feeling the pinch, right. And how do you approach the membership without people feeling like all you're after is the money? But you want to give persons an opportunity to give, but you don't want to come off as if, boy, I know you're going through a rough time, but can you just give me the money? You're both an officer and a secretary. How have you managed to communicate to your members without giving that kind of impression to the membership?
Right. You want to start?
Yes. Okay. All right. That's a very good question, and I'm hoping to touch on a few things, yes, that our sister says here. It's a serious situation, and since COVID, many persons have lost their job. Yes. Right? They can't pay their rent, and they have mental issues. Right? So even though we are Christian, we are spirit-filled believers, yes, but we are body, soul, and spirit. Yes. So therefore, we have to look at catering for the physical need. Yes. And these persons go through mental stress and so on. And to say we have our counseling department and so forth that we will, discreetly let them know, and persons who need a counseling, but we have a good counseling team they would go to and basically carry out the activities there. As it relates to the finances, for persons who have lost their job and so on, they have reached out, and we have reached out because we have a very integrated team. We are, yes, close to the ground, close to our members, yes, and we are connected through the various auxiliaries to the various committees, like the men ministry, the ladies ministry, the young people, the children, yes, and the singles. So information will be fed, and, yes, we reach out and we cater for those persons. On top of that, not to allow the members to feel that, okay, we are asking for their monies. We don't do that. What, yes, we do is cater for the physical man. Yes. We put in place care packages, yes, centrally operated through a benevolence department and administered through the various auxiliaries. And it goes to our members in the rural areas, basically. Yeah. And we ensure that we get feedback from them, yes, and we stay in touch with them. We also preach the word. So we have to first feed. Then we preach the word to build their faith, because in a crisis like this, persons are not spiritually strong. And those who are spiritually strong may come a little bit weaker in their faith. So we have to preach the word. We have to keep them connected. Although we are caring for them and so on, we have to feed them with the word to lift their spirit, because this is a newness for every one of us. This is a new experience. And although we are sojourning, we have to ensure that we are doing the right thing. So we did all of that. And we also look at our young people. We ensure that our young people are connected. They are vulnerable, and our children. Knowing that most of them are leaving school, they are seeing this, they have not gotten an idea as it relates to what next. Parents cannot give them any assurance as to what next. Society can't give them an assurance. Government can't give them no assurance. So it questions their hope. So therefore, we have to step in big time from a spiritual point of view to speak to them, and also to ensure that they're connected. Our youth department is integrated with them. And we also realize that there's a lacking as it relates to the social. For young people need activities, right? There's the lacking of the social realm. And we're putting in social activities. We launched one of our new ministry through the music department,
yes,
which you would have seen last week Sunday being here, the indwelling, which is very loved by the young people. So they need that type of expression, right? They need that type of expression. And it's something that should be looked at, the expression, from a district level and from a national level. But we basically have ensured that we don't press on our members, you know, to show you what has happened in the period of COVID for us. In January gone, we had prior month, and just to back up a bit, October, we had mission, where we speak, after being caring for the membership, we speak to mission. We had stewardship, which go into a deeper realm of being a believer and to understand the whole essence of being a Christian. And coming out of those two experiences, we have seen, under the leadership of our bishop, Clement Clark, and the council, we have seen an outburst. We have seen a revival among the membership, yes, within COVID. Yes. And we have seen numbers that basically we have not seen, yes, for a longest while. We have seen records broken, yeah, and in our mission, in our stewardship contribution. And our January month that we had that month catered towards prayer and fasting, that was new for us. But it dug into the need of the membership at a time when it is most needed during COVID, and it did cater. And our membership is revived, and therefore anything that they're seeing, they're there to move at it. Yes. Persons who were questioning their faith then, have been restored, and been lifted up. We saw where we could not have done the project. We are now moving into the different, yes, areas of the project. So it comes back to how to strong, caring, responsible leadership. Yes. So once you look out for the membership, right, from a caring perspective, and reach their need, especially at a time like this, the membership will respond in a caring way to the church.
Thank you. Mr. Hogarth?
Yeah, so you asked the question about the financial yes, situation. Well, one of the things our church, we have what we call a thrift club. Yes. So we encourage persons to save from long time. So now that, some person might have lost their work, some persons hours reduced, so funding, as I say, gone down. So persons have that something that they could wrap up on. So that's one. The other thing is that one of the things the council did, through the leadership of our pastorate, is that, the councillors, every week, we got a listing of persons that we should connect with, we should call. Yes. And we have to call these persons and keep in touch. So we know with the pulse of what's happening, we kind of have an idea what's happening. And it's out of that now we formulate strategies, from financial strategies and other strategies, how to deal with the membership. So that's one. So we have situations where, with the men, most times the men are usually the breadwinner. And we found a number of men lost their jobs. What we also found, as president of the men's ministry, men's fellowship also, what we found is that when we connect with the men, so some man might have lost a job, some person's hours reduced, and the struggles and the problems they can face with that at home. You know, when you do have the money and you say to the children, one of the good things with that though is that many students were going out to school, so lunch money thing was averted there. But what you found is that the exec for the men's ministry, we started to talk with the men and start to engage them even more. And we found out that it make it a little easier. And in addition to that too, we found jobs sometimes for men during that time. Because one of the things with COVID, you know, is that with the onset of COVID, it provides some other jobs are coming to being from it as well. So persons are able to transition from one work to another. So that was one of the things that helped also. So all in all, our church, you know, as you know, a number of things that EPR spoke about, we did as well. You know, but one of the most things that you're talking about, the connect between persons feeling that boy, you know, all the church wants is money. Because of what our church knew what we were doing. Because we put it out there in the WhatsApp group. So every step of the way, the membership knew exactly what we were doing. As a matter of fact, we broke a record in funding during COVID.
Okay.
Very interesting. Because one of the things we found out, persons had their tithes at home and were calling us to come for the tithes. So persons saved every cent of the tithes. And because of the connection also with the diaspora, we had funds coming in from the diaspora. So there's a number of things that happened during COVID that benefited us, and there are some things that never benefited us. But all in all, I believe that, as I've said before, that there are lessons to be learned from COVID. And I want to believe that all of us should learn those lessons, and especially personally also. I told you, I made some cuts in my personal lives. I cut like on cable, as I told you, because, you know, we had to put certain things in place. And we found out we can't do without it. And when COVID come back, we can do without it. And we'll be better off for it also, you know, with structuring our finances. And the church also, all the church used to spend money because money perhaps was coming in easy. What we found now, we have to start manage even more so our resources and looking very carefully as to how and where we put these resources now. You know, so, you know, yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Hogarth. I want to thank the panelists for joining us this afternoon and for sharing their thoughts. And I trust that as you listened to that which was shared, that you would have been able to pick out a strategy that you can use in your neck of the woods as we seek to cope with COVID 19 at this particular moment. I want to give you 30 seconds just to give a final statement. Only 30 seconds, each of you 30 seconds, just to give a final word to our membership that is watching you right now. What word would you give to them? For 30 seconds, starting with Mr. Desmond.
All right. I would say that we are in an unprecedented time, and that we should not lose faith. God says in his word, he did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And that we should remember and stay connected to your church, stay connected to your members, stay connected to your friends and your other colleagues, and keep them prayerful to the end.
Thank you, Sir Desmond.
Thank you. In this new normal, I'm saying trust in the Lord with all of thine heart and lean not to thine own understanding. This is the new pathway. We have to learn to live with it, and we need God now more than ever on this pathway. So I say to church family and friends, draw closer to God. Young people, draw closer to God. Adults, draw closer to God, and he will direct your path.
Thank
draw
you,
close to it.
Ms. Manning.
Yeah, so COVID has been a very stressful time for many persons. I would encourage my brothers and sisters to, you know, connect with your friends. We find that to be very useful. Do a little FaceTime now and again. Get different ideas from your colleagues and friends as to what they're doing in order to cope, so that you can cope in your neck of the woods. And in the process, let us be prayerful and know that God is in control of everything.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'd want to send out there is that with COVID, we see that, you know, one cannot put is coming to church as one of those things to keep close to God. Because we realize, you know, that with COVID, a number of us weren't able to come to church. So it means, therefore, that the relationship that one has with God is crucial and is paramount, right? So yes, sometimes not even your friend you can talk to, because probably you don't have the credit. So the next thing I realized is that family is important, and and oftentimes sometimes we don't be close to family because we're busy, we're all over the place and so. But when we find that all of us are in this space, one space now, and we are forced now to reconnect and to connect with our families and to connect with God even more so, realize that, boy, this thing can be a good thing. And I'm saying also that out of COVID, there has come or have come a lot of good. And I want us to embrace those goods. Those goods, is there such a word? But to embrace those offerings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Hogarth. And yet again, thank you so much, panelists, for your time this afternoon. God bless you as we continue to trust the Lord in this season. And the church will indeed come from this a stronger church. Thank you.
Thank you too, sir.